Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Six Flags Discovery Mountain on Parkitect. Now, I've spent the last 2 hours or so just trying to get a render that I can do the commentary for, and Premiere Pro has now started playing up because I kept getting crashes, so I've updated my graphics driver. That seems to have sorted that problem out. But now Premiere Pro doesn't want to render anything in less than about 3 hours, where it should be taking about 45 minutes to an hour. I've been having a few problems with it anyway recently. It sort of just decides when it wants to use the GPU rather than the processor, and it decides how long it's going to take. It's always different, even though these videos are usually sort of around the same amount of time. So I'm going to look at using some different video editing software to start getting my videos up. Might try going back to Vegas Pro, which always used to work alright for me. Anyway, what we're doing today, continuing with the park. To start with here, I'm just sort of placing some paths down and modifying the terrain a bit, just to get some of the layout in place for this area of the park, because I need to start sort of deciding how it's going to look. Six Flags parks tend to have quite a lot of open spaces, so that's something that I'm looking to do here. I do sort of jump between what I'm building here and the other areas a bit, just to get sort of some planning down for what's to come in the future. The main thing that gets built in this episode is just this train station, or railroad station as they'd call it there. And I can't remember if this is, I think this might be from Six Flags Over Texas maybe. If not, it's another one from Georgia. I do like a lot of the stuff they've got in that park from what I've seen, but I thought, yeah, we'll go for a nice traditional railroad station. Fits in very nicely with the park, and it'll sort of give me something to work around, and I built this little area around it. So not the longest episode today. This is about 2.5 hours of building time, but this next week coming up, I'm not going to have a lot of time to be playing, so yeah, this might be it for a week or so. About this building, not really a lot to say about it really. It looks quite generic, but we do add some nice detailing to it once it's done. And then the actual the queue line is inside the station building, and then we make a platform afterwards, which you'll see. Just playing about then with the pirate roofs as well, just recoloured there. And I had my own little sort of, not a fence, maybe sort of like just a border, you know, just like some little stones that keep you off the foliage. I think I put some plants in there. And yeah, I mean, it's quite a simple building, but I think it turned out quite nice and quite accurate to how a station like this probably would be. So I always get carried away with the details on these sort of buildings. That's one of the things I really like doing in the game. And then I do change this sign to be one ripped straight out of the park. It's not the clearest, so I might go back and change that at some point, but I put in these sort of lamps. I wanted to go for maybe like an oil lamp type thing, very traditional. So I just used a few of the little poles and the shapes as well. Had to do it twice because I couldn't blueprint that because of the position it was in. The little building on the side there actually becomes a depot, or a little extension on the building, sort of your staff area, because I decided in the end I want a vending machine in the area. So I made my own station cover there, and I do think when I tested the train it went a little bit over where it should be, so I had to redo that. But then, yeah, I mean, I put some fencing down, then I put a cover over all of this anyway. Which you'll see, yeah, these borders here are a bit too far into the track, so they clip into the train when we put it on testing. So I go back and change that after. Little bit of experimenting here then with the roof that I wanted on there. Didn't get it exactly right the first time, so went back and had a few goes at it. All again from the Future and Space mod, which has so many useful curved pieces in it that I like to use. Yeah, and I think that's the one I settle for in the end. And then you can recolour the glass. I've coloured it yellow there, it just makes it look a little bit more, I don't know, sort of retro. Just fits in a bit better with the whole station design. And then we put the train in, and like I say, it was clipping, so I moved all these path covers and stuff back, and the borders. I think I got rid of the borders. It's still quite tight, the clearance, but it makes it through. And then just a little bit of playing about to make it all fit in. But yeah, in terms of where we're going with the park now, like I say, I want some of these big open spaces. I've put a bit of pathing in down below this section, off to the left of the park, which possibly could have another coaster around it, but the main purpose is just to have a big open plaza and a couple of them sort of ugly Six Flags buildings that we need to try and get in the park, like maybe some sort of midway or arcade, or even just like a cafe, but a bit more, or a shop or something, but a bit more tacky looking than the main street ones, which are a bit nicer. And then yeah, hopefully I'll start to get an idea of the layout of how the park's gonna look, because there'll be sort of vaguely themed areas. Nothing, they don't go mad on the theming at Six Flags. I'm thinking maybe a superheroes area. There's a lot of cloned superheroes rides that they have in their parks. A lot of coasters themed to different superheroes. So that might be something we put in later on. Just finishing off the building here then. I make my own lampposts like I was doing in Europa for this, and I think they look really cool. So if you do get a bit bored sometimes at the in-game, things that they give you, there's only a limited amount of benches and lampposts and all that sort of thing. So when I can be creative with it, I do like to to try and do something different. And then yeah, like the pathing around this station building is more generic, sort of just concrete, grey, quite ugly pathing like you'd see in Six Flags. Like I say, I tried to make the entrance area a bit more, a bit nicer to look at. But then going back into the park, I think we're going to have a lot of these gravel paths. This is what I was on about now, making this big open area. I'll literally just stick a couple of rides in just so you can see where they're going to go. But I haven't properly started working on this bit yet. I'll just put that down to tell myself that I want to put a building there in the next one, and then we can work on that next and then make our way back into the park. And then the only other ride for this little area is the Wipeout, which again is one of my favourite flat rides in the game. That and the chair swing, I think aesthetically they're the nicest ones. Some things like I quite like the spiral slide, but it's way too big when you look at it sort of in comparison to the guests. And when, you know, if you make a 2-story building, it's like twice the height of that. I think a lot of the rides in this are based on the classic RCT rides. You know, so some of them are really nice, but then some of them are just massive in scale. Going back to the area, then building some more of the stone corners, and then just sticking some flowers in. You know, I still think this little section would still be one of the nicer bits of the park. Because, you know, we don't want it all to be like taggy, you know, Six Flags. Want a bit of a mixture, I think. I think that's what they tend to do. They'll put a new area in their park, in one of their parks, and they'll give it a light bit of theming and make it look slightly nicer than the older bits of the park, just to make it seem like that they're making an effort, you know. But like I say, they are amusement parks. Their main focus is on roller coasters, and that's what they do best. So yeah, just finishing off this area now, really, with some planting and foliage. And then I do add something to the queue of this ride as well. Yeah, just some pavilions. Very simple stuff. That's it. I'm finding it hard to make myself not theme stuff too heavily in this. Not put amazing buildings everywhere. I sort of feel like these trees we've got along the side here hide the backstage area a bit from the path level, so you wouldn't see it too much if you were in the park. Just going back then, putting in some signs, you know, your height restrictions and your rules and all that sort of thing for the rides, and a wait time. And that's it then for this episode. So like I say, going into the next one, we're going to be going back down to that area where I put the carousel in, have a bit of a play about with that, try and get some real classic Six Flags stuff in there. So then, thank you for watching and see you later.